Sure, you've addressed this before, but I gotta ask: when you were let go for these ostensibly racist tweets, whatever, how they,
however it was worded.
yeah, was there a sense on your part of like, listen, I've been generating money for you guys for how many years? 18 years, 15 years,
Yeah.
and now it's just like thanks but no thanks. Was there a sense of just utter disloyalty?
Yeah, absolutely. I felt betrayed by not only the company, which is kind of funny if you think about it, like betrayed by, of course they'll betray you.
But I don't think it is, of course. I think different people run into fear. Look at Joy Reid.
Yeah, well, I believe depending on what you're doing and
Sure.
what your agenda is, it's obvious that there's a bias on there.
Right.
If I was a left-wing, liberal, progressive, whatever you want to call it, I'd probably still have my job over there.
Right.
But it's what I said, how it was interpreted, how it was put in the news, all that came into play, and they just cut me loose. The Opie thing was another thing, though. You know, the disloyalty of somebody you worked with for so long. I was taken aback by that. It's like, we worked together for 20 years. I would think there'd be some kind of push. Even if you're bluffing, go in there and say, hey, you don't fire him or you hire him back or I'll do this. And if they say, okay, do it, then go, yeah, I was just kidding. Please, let me keep my job. But at least give it a whirl.
At the very least, if you are a horrible person, why is he sitting down next to this horrible person for that long?
Yeah, well, because it was very lucrative.
No, but I mean, from he's not going to say that, right? So if he's trying to be on his high horse, it's like, at least if you're going to be on your high horse, you have to at least you can't be a white knight and say this guy's a total villain because you're breaking bread with him.
Yeah, you were the one sitting there.
Yeah.
Well, he spun it in that he said, I forgot how he put it exactly, but it was to the effect of, well, it seemed like you wanted to leave anyway. He kind of justified it in that, because I was doing live from the compound at my house,
right,
in a studio that I built in my house, a video podcast kind of a thing, separate from the radio show. And Opie interpreted that as, I want to do other things and move on. So thank God he allowed me that by not backing me and sticking up for me in any way whatsoever.
So I know this, you've rehashed this all the time, but my friend Andrea is a big fan of you guys. She sat in on my last show, and her impression, and here's the other thing: when you get famous and you get a huge audience, it's hard to maintain self-awareness. On the other hand,
true,
you were being yourself on the show. You weren't being a character. This was like you hanging out with your buddies.
Yeah.
So you get paid money for, like, okay, free. I get to talk to my friends and get paid. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. It wasn't a very formatted show or anything that I had to do anything different than just be me.
So was there also this element of resentment, because the way she describes it, he's kind of the boring straight man, and you were the comic. You're the funny one.
Yeah.
You're the edgy one.
Yeah.
So for him to be like, oh, blah, 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 it's just like, but I was the one who brought the humor.
Yeah. Although there wasn't resentment in that when I was doing the show, I never looked like, oh my God, I'm doing all the work here or anything like that, because it was so easy. It was just going in and talking. Having Jim Norton there too was key.
Yeah.
Like, that's a guy, me and him would bat stuff back and forth, and it was fantastic. Just had a great time. So I didn't really think like, you son of a bitch, you're not hauling your share here. So no, I never felt that kind of resentment. And he did, like, I'm not just going to crap on him. He did serve a purpose, and he did have his role in the program.
No, but what I meant is he was almost implying that you didn't serve a purpose.
Right. Yeah. That's when I started getting pretty pissed about the whole thing. Yeah, that he just had this weird thing where if we didn't text for a while, he'd be like, the communication between us, we need to talk, and why don't you text me just, hey bro, what are you doing? Like, I'm not that guy. I don't do that to my family or friends. I'm gonna do it for you. He got pissed at me once also. He goes, do you know, in all the time that we've been doing radio, you never even came over my house? I'm like, talk to everyone. Eric, E-Rock, I never came to his house. Jimmy, I've ever been to your house? And any of the people, I've never been to their house.
I'd sit next to you 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
Why do I need to be in your house?
Why do I need to be in your house? Why do I need to talk to you or text you or something like that?
Yeah, we don't talk enough. We don't see each other enough. Every morning, every afternoon for hours.
Yeah.
We're talking.
It's a pain in the ass to keep tabs and check in and text women, and at least I'm having sex with them. It's not like Like, I don't want to just talk to you. I don't want to just talk to anybody, quite frankly. Except Michael Malice.
Listen, Opie, I get paid to talk to you. Why would I do it for free?
Why would I do it for free? Great. Yes. And that was exactly it. But he took everything so personally, like a woman. He had a very girl-like personality when it came to just guy things. Like, me and Jimmy would look at each other sometimes when he was saying something and be like, oh my God, this guy, enough already.
How long? So listen, any relationship is tough.
Oh, yeah.
I don't mean boyfriend, girlfriend, friends, co-workers, whatever.
Yeah.
Anytime you're famous, you're the head of this big network empire, it's going to be headaches.
Sure.
What steps did you take to make that relationship work better, if any?
I was more of the just don't rock the boat guy. That's my whole take on just about everything in my life, by the way. It's worked well and it's done harm. I guess you can't just handle it everything that way.
Right.
Some things you need to address and talk about. But as far as the show went and stuff, look, we had done amazing radio for many, many years. I didn't think we needed any of these conversations about our relationship and how we live our lives off the air and things like that. We each had our separate personalities and foibles in those personalities, and we both had to deal with that. I was not the greatest guy to sit there and work with for 20 years. I know that too. But I would excuse some of his garbage, and I would assume he would excuse some of mine. I drove in every day from Long Island.
Right.
Just an utter pain in the ass, especially doing mornings. It was like over at Sirius Satellite Radio. You're stuck in morning rush hour traffic, a little earlier than most people, but it was still rush hour from Long Island to New York City.
How long is the commute about?
It was on a very good day, 45 minutes.
Oh, that's still something.
Yeah, every day. It drives you nuts. And that was going. Coming back, it was about an hour, maybe even longer.
Okay.
So I was annoyed. I just hated that part of it. But knowing I was going in and it's not going to be in a cubicle somewhere or out on a rooftop, I'm gonna be having a good time. I would walk in the studio, and God forbid I was even 5 minutes late while the intro music is still playing or what have you. He would be mad. That's not a guy.
Right.
That's not a friend or a coworker you've worked with. Who cares? He would have Club Soda Kenny pick him up at his apartment, which was a few blocks away, drive him right up to the front door of the studio, and he'd get out and go in. Now, you're not combating traffic or anything. So I would get in, I would sit down, and he would actually say...
On air?
On air. Oh, Anthony, must have been a little traffic, huh? Just getting in?
Wait a minute. That's how women talk. That is passive-aggressive.
Passive-aggressive garbage. And the bosses would hear it. So then the bosses would pull me aside and go, "Hey, make sure you're on time. What are you doing?" And meanwhile, it wouldn't affect anything. Me coming in 5 minutes late wouldn't affect anything. I'd get right to it. And he had to bring it up because I think Opie felt he wasn't good enough to be in that room with a lot of the legends that had gone through it. Patrice O'Neill, Geraldo, Voss, Colin Quinn. I mean, I can name every comic in New York that is good. They were on the show and destroying. Great job. He felt had such a lack of confidence even being in the room that anything he could do to hold power over somebody, he would use it, whether it was an intern, a guest, or me, or Jimmy, anything else. He would make comics sit out in the hallway until 8 o'clock, let's say, from 7 to 8 o'clock for no goddamn reason. No reason other than, hey, you're going to come in here and be great, and I'm not. So I'm going to show you what I can do. That's how he operated.
Were you the one who was apologizing to the comics?
Oh, constantly. I would, I would kind of.
That's a power move. That's a textbook Wall Street power move.
Yes, it was his only thing he could do. So he held it over interns. He would snap at interns sometimes with his fingers. I don't even mean snap like, "Hey, you." I mean literally go, could you get me my blueberries? And I had to sit him down. I actually said, "Opie, I don't think anyone likes when you snap at them." Oh, really? Did someone say something? I'm like, no.
No one needs to say something.
I looked and I said, wow, that's not good.
It's like going to a restaurant and you don't tip, and then I think you should tip. Oh, did the waiter say something? He doesn't need to.
No.
Oh my God.
It was so for years of that.
Did it get
going
worse
on,
and worse and worse? Or did it turn like overnight?
Yeah, either it got worse or I just noticed it more and more as it went on. But it was, all the years of it piled up, and the coworkers that we have very loyal staff that stuck around, and they would see it, and it ended up where, honestly, there's nobody I used to work with that has any contact with him. They will not. They're not friendly with him,
including you.
Including me. Oh yeah. But the comics, the entire staff, former and the staff that was there at the end, everyone just doesn't like the man and won't work with him.
And here's what you have been open and repeatedly, publicly, openly said, if he was willing to work together for the fans and do some reunion thing, you would do it.
Oh yeah,
because it wouldn't even be that hard.
No, it wouldn't be that hard.
And the people, it said thank you. To the people who paid your bills for so long.
Yeah, I offered him so many opportunities to come on Compound Media before he even got the podcast he's doing now, and because he was 8 months, he went from when he was fired from Sirius till he got this podcast that he's doing. So for 8 months, that's deadly in broadcasting.
Yeah.
You need to get right out there and do things. A little walking around the streets of Manhattan wasn't cutting the mustard there.
I saw that video.
Yeah. Oh my God. I don't know what he was thinking.
Were you cringing the whole time?
I was cringing. Like everything that happens on the streets of Manhattan is not magic. Oh, a guy's cooking a pretzel. Whoa, this is wild. No, it's not. A guy's cooking a pretzel. It's not crazy. So it's like
this fun fact, the last person to have watched that video was Kate Spade.
Oh my goodness. See, there may be a tie in there. We're gonna have to investigate. Oh Jesus.
She's like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah. I can't.
Dunzo.
I can't live in a world that has this. So he would
bring me my red scarf.
No, the good one.
Hermes.
Yeah. So he was doing snapping. Bring me the scarf.
Scarfie.
He was doing that stuff, but I had offered him a job over at Compound. I had offered him the opportunity to just come on. We had done a couple of calls prior to that when he was still with Sirius, Skyped in with each other's
So was the
shows.
conversation cordial?
Of course, because it was.
Well, it's not.
We were both on the air.
Oh,
like
okay.
Here's what. At least I know what I can do, and I know what he does also. So if something's on the air, there's going to be a bit of showmanship to it.
Sure.
You're going to put things aside. You're going to address certain things, but make jokes about them and things like that. And that was fine. But in order to actually for him to come in the studio and sit down, he was like, dude, I think first we ought to sit, grab a beer maybe, and talk about things. It's like, and destroy the spontaneity.
I was just going to say, that's what I would want to see as a fan. I want to see that happen in front of the camera.
The first meeting.
Yes.
Right. After all this time and all this venom and everything else, they want to see that. Like, you don't destroy it with some dumb meeting. But again, that comes from his complete insecurity in his capability of actually being spontaneous and sitting down and doing a show. He does a podcast now that's taped. It's recorded. And it's 2 days a week. And he has to have someone with him at the time. Like, you're over 28 years, maybe almost 30 years of him doing radio. If you can't have a mic in front of you and do an hour show alone, you really don't belong in the business. Honestly, you have no business being in the business.
So let's talk.